It was an early start today for Marcella and Minerva, up at 5 a.m. to join the queue at St. Peter's in the Vatican, paying their respects to the late Pope Francis, whom they knew personally. We were among the first trans people Francis met with. He supported us. The Pope soon began inviting a group of transgender sex workers to his audiences. It was his understanding that the Catholic Church should primarily care for the poor and marginalized. Marcella and Minerva met with Pope Francis twice. They would talk about their problems, but also about everyday life. We also talked to him about food. As an Argentinian, he knew about the specialties from my home country, Uruguay. He talked to a friend of mine about the food in Paraguay. And he also said the most beautiful women come from Paraguay. I want to thank him again for everything he did for my community. The three were put in touch by the priest of this church in Tor Vaianica by Rome. Don Andrea has been looking out for the group since the COVID pandemic, when they came to him for food and support.
We met at the parish entrance gate. First one, then two, then three. And eventually there were about 150. Yes, by the end there were about 150 women and friends who came.
All were trans people from South America living in Tor Vaianica, often sex workers living in abject poverty along the road to Rome. Since the pandemic, Don Andrea became one of few who would lend an ear to their problems and concerns. He encouraged Marcella to write to Francis. I wrote to the Pope and told him about my life, where I come from, and what a difficult time I'm going through with the pandemic. That I have no money to pay the rent and everything else. And the Pope responded. Don Andrea received financial assistance for the group through Francis's almsgiver.
So we can pay their electricity or gas bill, or the rent and house management costs, concrete expenses for these people in need.
Trans people didn't venture into Don Andreas's parish until the pandemic. Now, they're regulars. Many live in Italy illegally, without papers, and have health problems.
Many of them have bought silicone from hardware stores, injecting each other with it to give themselves breasts, without consulting doctors or plastic surgeons. Many of them are marginalized, living in dramatic situations. They're often very lonely.
Don Andrea also visits his parishioners at home, like Claudia. Thanks to the priest, she too has met Pope Francis, a fellow Argentinian. When I handed him some homemade empanadas, he said, "You better leave them here. I'll eat them today." I had thought he would refuse the food, but no, he accepted it. A beautiful gesture that touched me deeply, not in the moment, but afterwards, because of his incredible humility. Back in the Vatican, after 2 hours of waiting, Marcella and Minerva see Francis once more, this time lying in state. There won't be a commemorative photo. Taking videos or pictures is strictly forbidden. Both are anxious. Will the successor of Francis be as open to conversation, as caring to those on the fringes of society? Let's hope that the new Pope will be kind-hearted too, close to the people and humble, siding with the poor, the unseen, standing by the weakest. But Pope Francis, he's unforgettable. The election of the new Pope will determine the future of the Catholic Church. what priorities it sets in its work, and whether people like Marcella and Minerva can feel that they too are welcome in it.